It began as a quiet spring afternoon in Michigan, with gentle breezes and clear skies humming with everyday life. But by 4 p.m., the heavens turned menacing, cloaked in an eerie green glow. A deafening roar erupted, and in an instant, the world transformed. Hailstones as big as golf balls, some even larger, hammered rooftops, obliterated car windows, and carpeted streets in a surreal blanket of white. What seemed like a winter snowstorm was pure destruction raining from above. From Grand Rapids to Flint, the onslaught struck so swiftly that residents barely had time to seek shelter. By nightfall, the same ferocious storm tore through Tennessee, unleashing 70 mph winds, torrential rain, and ice so thick it buried lawns and vehicles. This wasn't just a thunderstorm. It was one of the most savage hail outbreaks in recent American history, a chilling reminder that nature's wrath can strike without mercy. That Monday afternoon, western Michigan became the epicenter of chaos. Storms detonated over Kent County, spawning rotating supercells that hurled hailstones up to 2 inches wide. Grand Rapids bore the first brutal assault, the roar of hail overpowering even the thunder. Within minutes, streets were swallowed by icy torrents as residents watched their yards turn into frozen wastelands. Car dealerships faced apocalyptic losses, with entire lots of vehicles battered and shattered. Homeowners stood frozen in disbelief as sidings splintered, gutters ripped apart, and skylights caved in. It was like 1,000 war drums pounding, one resident recounted, describing the relentless hail barrage. As evening fell, the storm surged eastward toward Flint and Davison. The hail seemed endless, turning roads into rivers, plunging neighborhoods into darkness, and scattering trees across highways. Meteorologists later revealed that ferocious updrafts had propelled raindrops miles into the freezing atmosphere, forging massive hailstones that plummeted back to Earth at nearly 100 mm, obliterating everything in their path. By nightfall, Michigan resembled a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Lawns, highways, and rooftops vanished under inches of ice, transforming communities into frozen battlegrounds. Snapped power lines left tens of thousands in darkness, while lightning illuminated a landscape entombed in hail. In Flint, terrified families huddled in basements as golf ball-sized hail pounded their homes for nearly 20 minutes. Windows shattered, alarms screamed, and floodwaters invaded living rooms. In Davison, residents described a metallic roar growing louder by the second. It was like rocks tumbling from the sky, one homeowner said, standing beside a car with the windshield reduced to shards. Emergency crews fought to respond, battling blocked roads, fallen trees, and flooded intersections. Hospitals treated injuries from flying glass and ice, while residents emerged to a world unrecognizable. Streets buried, cars totaled, roofs punctured like paper. Damage reports poured in, and meteorologists warned the storm wasn't finished. The supercell cluster was now charging toward Tennessee, carrying its path of devastation into the night. When the storm reached Tennessee, it became a howling juggernaut. Nashville's skies turned a sickly green, a color that chills every Southerner's soul. Within minutes, hail the size of quarters and golf balls rained down, pummeling rooftops, vehicles, and power lines with unrelenting force. In Franklin and Murfreesboro, residents likened the sound to baseballs slamming into metal. Streets were buried in ice, and overflowing storm drains turned intersections into churning rivers of hail and debris. Winds nearing 70 mph snapped branches and toppled trees onto homes, isolating entire neighborhoods. It was like being inside a gravel-filled washing machine, a Nashville resident said after the storm passed. Emergency sirens wailed as first responders raced to reach stranded families. Cars spun out on icy roads and roofs buckled under the onslaught. The storm roared east toward Knoxville, where 2-inch hail shattered windows and skylights, littering streets with jagged glass. By dawn, Tennessee looked like a war zone. Thousands without power, crop fields shredded, and insurance claims soaring into the millions. Yet the most terrifying truth was still to come. Meteorologists warned the storm system was regenerating, poised to strike again. Meteorologists later confirmed what residents already felt in their bones. This was no ordinary storm. It was a cataclysmic clash of air masses, turning the sky into a weapon of ice and wind. A powerful cold front from the plains collided with warm, moisture-laden air from the Gulf of Mexico, igniting explosive atmospheric instability. Within this maelstrom, supercell thunderstorms formed towering, rotating columns stretching miles into the sky. Violent updrafts lifted raindrops high into freezing altitudes, forging hailstones that grew larger with each cycle before crashing down at nearly 100 mph. The updrafts were among the strongest we've seen this year, a National Weather Service meteorologist explained. That's what produced hail over 2 inches wide. It takes immense power. Radar revealed a colossal convective system stretching from Lake Michigan to northern Alabama, its sheer scale staggering, fueled by a deadly mix of heat, humidity, and instability. Nature had scripted its own catastrophe. When the skies finally cleared, the human toll was staggering. Streets across Michigan and Tennessee resembled disaster zones. Cars totaled, homes scarred, neighborhoods unrecognizable. Yet, amid the wreckage, a powerful story emerged. One of resilience, unity, and unbreakable spirit. In Grand Rapids, neighbors formed human chains, clearing trees and shoveling hail from driveways. In Knoxville, churches opened their doors to shelter families whose homes were uninhabitable. Firefighters waded through floodwaters to rescue those trapped in basements and cars. It sounded like a battlefield, a Flint resident said, but when we stepped outside, everyone was helping each other. It gave me hope. Hospitals overflowed with patients suffering cuts, bruises, and shock, while emergency crews worked tirelessly to restore power and deliver clean water. Grocery stores donated supplies, and restaurants fed first responders. Even as repair costs mounted and insurance claims skyrocketed, communities refused to break. They rebuilt, one roof, one road, one act of kindness at a time. The storm didn't just destroy, it revealed the strength of those who endured it. In the aftermath, as cleanup stretched into days, a sobering truth emerged. America's weather is shifting. Hailstorms of this ferocity, once rare, are now striking with alarming frequency, fueled by a warming climate that supercharges atmospheric instability. Meteorologists at the National Severe Storms Laboratory warned that warmer, moister air is creating more energy for violent updrafts, producing larger, more destructive hailstones. We're seeing Tornado Alley-level hail in places like Grand Rapids and Knoxville, a senior forecaster noted. That's the new reality. The cost is astronomical. Billions in damages, soaring insurance premiums, and growing threats to agriculture and infrastructure. Beyond the numbers lies a stark warning. Nature can upend life in an instant. The 2025 hail outbreak will be remembered not just for its devastation, but for what it exposed, our vulnerability and our resilience. From Michigan's battered suburbs to Tennessee's flooded fields, the storm underscored that preparedness is no longer optional. It's survival. The next storm isn't a matter of if, but when. As dawn broke over the scarred Midwest and South, the storm's remnants glistened under a fragile light. Roofs shattered, cars mangled, yards blanketed in ice, not snow. Yet, through the chaos, the human spirit stood tall. From Michigan's frozen neighborhoods to Tennessee's waterlogged farmlands, people emerged not with despair, but with defiance. The cleanup began, but so did a renewed awareness of nature's untamed power. "We can't control the sky," a volunteer said, "but we can choose how we rise after it falls." These storms remind us that resilience is forged before the clouds gather, that community is our greatest strength, and that preparedness saves lives. If this story stirs you, don't let it fade with the forecast. Like, share, and subscribe to spread awareness about our changing climate, the rising storms, and the people who face them. The next chapter is already brewing in the restless skies above.